Let's talk about top 5 quarterbacks under the most pressure this upcoming season.
Let's do it.
I'll start with you. You can go from 5 to 1 and just name your list.
Sounds good. So at number 5, I have Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert's my number 5 most under pressure quarterback, not because he has anything to prove talent-wise, because we know that talent-wise he has everything you want in a franchise quarterback. But now there's actually pieces put in front of him to actually get stuff done. Defensively, that was the issue for them. They could not stop anyone on the ground. Now you add Jordan Davis to this mix. And secondary, where they really didn't need any help, they go and they add J.C. Jackson. Herbert is supposed to be good enough to elevate his team, which I definitely have no doubts that he can do. I have high expectations for the Chargers this year, but a lot of pressure is going to be put on him to lead the Chargers to the playoffs and make a push, especially now that Burrow has made it to the Super Bowl with an extremely inferior offensive line, to his credit for sure. And I have no doubts in Herbert, but he needs to show it to us. And I think that he will, but he's under some pressure. Now, number 4 is going to be your guys' boy, Zack Wilson. Zack Wilson last year, to start the season, was not good by any means. He gets injured, comes back, doesn't turn the ball over for the rest of the season. He showed some really strong flashes. Even before the injury against Tennessee, that game was his best game, and that was before he really started to take care of the football. Had some excellent throws on the run, in the pocket, under pressure, making throws to the sideline. He has tools to be really, really good in this league. But based off his stats, people definitely are scrutinizing him a little bit extra. And it does not help that he's in New York, and New York media is extremely strong. But now you add some strong pieces in the draft. You give him Garrett Wilson, a potential ex-wide receiver, guys who, a wide receiver who guys had as the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. Defensively, were you guys 32nd in the league last year in defense?
We might have been.
If you guys weren't the worst, you were bottom 3, but now you guys go and you add Sauce, you add Reed, you add Jermaine Johnson in the draft, who was a great pickup for you guys late as you guys traded in to go get him. You get Carl Lawson back. There is now a lot of pressure put on Zack Wilson to now step up in year 2, take that sophomore leap, and I think that he can thrive in this situation, but there's going to be pressure put on him. You're the starting quarterback in a New York team. There's pressure that comes with that. Number 3, Kyla Murray. Listen, I ride for the guys that I do believe are great and that I support, but that doesn't excuse them from being under pressure, and you're going to realize that with my list. Kyla Murray last year left the field against the Rams in embarrassing fashion. The Rams definitely whipped them. They did whatever they wanted with Kyla Murray, and it was ugly. And then it started to allow people to slander Kyla Murray a little bit more than they should, as my friend Joel V. Moran on Twitter, give him a follow, that
Bro's been plugging you all episode.
that they don't necessarily believe, but at the same time, you don't have the victory in the playoffs when it matters. You get banged up here and there the past 2 seasons, even though you've put up amazing numbers and you're in the MVP conversation. But now you have something to prove now. You got to win, because that's really what matters, especially when you're a franchise quarterback. And now you want your money as well. There's pressure that gets put on your name, especially when you're trading a first-round pick for a Marquise Brown that people don't necessarily believe that that's what he's worth. But the guys in the front office want to put you in a situation where you can thrive. So there's pressure on Kyla Murray for sure. Number 2 is going to be Russell Wilson. I have Russell Wilson number 2 because let's look at history. Tom Brady leaves in year 1, goes to Tampa Bay, championship. Matthew Stafford leaves in year 1, goes to L.A., wins a championship. Russell wants out, requests a trade to Denver. There's expectations now. I'm a fan of the Broncos. Surprise. I've said for many, many years, we get a quarterback, we're championship bound. We have the pieces. We have the defense. You give me a quarterback, that's all we're missing. We didn't just get a quarterback, we got Russell Wilson. There's pressure being put on Russell Wilson to deliver that. And I don't want to put it on him, but that's just the truth. You have to come in and you have to show out. And I think he will, but there's a tremendous amount of pressure on him, given the fact that Matthew Stafford and him are in that class together now. If he wants to show that he's a notch above him, which I do believe Russell is, he's got to come out and provide results immediately. And number 1, to no surprise, Tua Tagovailoa. He is the quarterback underneath the most pressure right now, because there is no quarterback right now in the media that is as scrutinized as Tua is. There is no other quarterback that can have a single highlight without pads, throwing the ball down the field to your new weapon in Tyreek Hill, and he gets over 5 million hits. There's no other quarterback that can have something like that happen to him.
At least he's box office because he's not a great quarterback.
I'll let you have that one because
Miami also puts out Tua highlights every day. No, not other teams do that.
But you know why they've done that now? Because it took one clip of them just casually throwing something up for people to take that and absolutely Usain Bolt sprint with it.
For sure.
I think the negativity towards Tua has been a bit much at times, but don't you think that that's just the reaction people have because out of college he was propped up as being generational and the next Drew Brees?
I agree with that, for sure. He was taking over Herbert, right? Automatically right there, that's going to raise some eyebrows. Herbert has come out and shown that he is, at his best, the top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So right there, you're going to have people scrutinizing the Miami Dolphins for that. But he is coming back from a broken hip injury. It's a tough injury to come back from.
This is year 3.
But now it's said that he's healed fully. It looks as if he is in the best shape that he's been in. You look at his legs; they look stronger. He looks more fit. Yes, you're saying that they've released a lot of highlights of Tua, but it's something that I'm grateful for because now we actually start to see some velocity behind his throws. We start to see him get some air distance. And yes, you know what?
I don't care.
It's a little bit too much, and right, you don't care, but people cared with the first clip. Which is why I'm happy you say that because it got.
I don't really care either way.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just speaking generally.
I don't because t-shirt and shorts. Like I don't care what you look like.
No pads on. Yeah. You can't talk. There's nothing to really say without any pads on. There's nothing to really truly judge.
Sure.
It's just walkthroughs. So that's not going to put aside to the fact that Tua is now going into year 3. You bring in Tyreek Hill. You have Jalen Wild. This is arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league.
Most dynamic.
You get Tyron Armstead in the offseason. You add to this offensive line that last year was the worst in the NFL. Connor Williams gets added to this group. Robert Hunt was the only good lineman for them. And the biggest blessing of them all, Jesse Davis is off the team. They had a bottom 3 rush offense last year. You bring in Raheem Mostert. You bring in Chase Edmonds. You sign Sonny Michel. No, Phillip Lindsay's going to the Colts.
Oh, Colts, my bad.
And you bring in Mike McDaniel, who's this rush offense guru. And that's going to try to cater to his needs and to his strengths. I think that this is a situation that people are going to look at and think that there are no excuses for Tua, and I firmly believe that as well. So that's why I have Tua as my number 1 most pressured this year.
Would you like to go?
Yeah, you can go first.
Oh, I appreciate that, bro.
No problem.
Thanks, man. Pressure's an interesting word. We were talking before the show, right? Because Justin Herbert has pressure on him to win, but he doesn't have the same pressure as Tua. Because if Tua might win, he might not look great, and his job could get replaced. Justin Herbert doesn't have his job. His job's not in jeopardy no matter what happens. So my top 5 guys are all players who I think are under pressure, not maybe because of their job like Tua, even though Tua is on this list, no surprise, but mostly because these guys are all expected to win. So starting off at number 5, someone you didn't mention, I have a few guys that you did. I think it's Dak. I think Dak is someone on this list who, he got paid. He got paid last season. He got the huge contract that everyone was kind of teetering 50-50. Should they give him the bag? Should they not? And I think they made the right decision. I don't think you want to be stuck in quarterback purgatory where you have no real answer at quarterback. And Dak has shown to be great on the field and as well as a great leader for the team, for the Cowboys. But at this point, in this division, it's been multiple years now. I mean, he has 1 playoff win. It's 2018. We're going on 4 years now. And, there's all those numbers out there. The Cowboys not having X amount of playoff wins and obviously Super Bowls and our entire lives, really, and before we were born. So at this point, Dak got his money, and now he's in a very winnable division for the length of his career. Now it's time for him to go out and win. He took on a big contract, and that's the reason why Amari Cooper had to leave, La'el Collins had to leave. He's going to have a $50 million cap hit in 2023 and 2024. He's really the reason why a lot of these key players are going to have to leave the Cowboys. Randy Gregory going to Denver as well. So as a whole, the Cowboys roster took a step back. So some people might be viewing this as maybe he doesn't have as much pressure, but this is why the Cowboys paid him. The Cowboys paid him because they said, we're going to let some of these guys walk, but we need to have Dak Prescott as quarterback because we think he's the guy to take us over the hump, win playoff games, and eventually get us to a Super Bowl. There's no excuse. You have a winnable division. You have a weak NFC. We just saw Joe Burrow with a very bad offensive line, a defense who in the regular season was pretty mid-given. He had great weapons, without a doubt, but you still have CeeDee Lamb. You have Michael Gallup coming back. You franchise Dalton Schultz. You have a great running back duo with Zeke and Tony Pollard. So it's not like he doesn't have anything. And for that fact, even when he had Amari, it's not like they had they had success, but it didn't turn into playoff victories. So for number 5 for me, it's Dak Prescott. Number 4 is Kyler. I think Kyler is, I like Kyler a lot. Up until really last year, I had him right on Lamar's level, actually above Lamar, because I agree with you. I think he's a better passer. But up until this point, or this offseason, really, I didn't love the whole contract situation he got going on. Putting out that full page that looked like a fax report of all of these demands he had from the Cardinals. I thought it was a little juvenile. I think
that's why you call him a sorority girl.
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah, I thought it was a little just kind of immature. He's someone who hasn't won in the playoffs, really hasn't won much at all so far in his NFL career. He wants a new contract, and he looked terrible in his first playoff game. He also has bad splits in the second half of the season without Hopkins. Like I mentioned, it's not a big deal because when you lose your best weapon, your numbers are going to go down. But this is the year for Kyler to prove without the first 6 games. What do you look like without Hopkins? Can you make it work with Hollywood Brown now, and you still have A.J. Green, who's past his prime, but you drafted Trey McBride, who is a lot of people's number 1 tight ends.
Yep.
Still have Zach Ertz there. Mm-hmm. Yep, Rondell Moore. So you have some guys there that I think there's at least enough for to go around. We saw Lamar do something very similar with a similar cast of weapons. He didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, but he had Mark Andrews. So Kyler has kind of in that same boat as Lamar, where maybe he is missing one more really good option for these first 6 games. Now, what can Kyler do to go and really prove to the front office that he's worth this $200, $300 million contract? So I think Kyler has all the talent in the world. They gave Cliff Kingsbury a big extension too. They think he's the head coach for the future, that he could take them to the playoffs and eventually a Super Bowl. Number 3 for me is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is, I think he's a franchise guy, and I think he's going to go out and show to everybody that he should be the franchise quarterback for the Eagles. I don't really view this as a make or break season for Jalen. Like I said, I think he's their franchise quarterback. And this past season, in his first full season as starter, just under 4,000 total yards, 26 total touchdowns to 11 turnovers. You saw the progress from 2020 to 2021. His interception percentage dropped, QB rating increased, quarterback rating increased as well. Sack percentage decreased. So overall, he had better numbers his first year starting from his rookie season, where he only started 4 games, had a great game against the Saints that rookie year too, when they were one of the best defenses in the league as well. Now they're bringing in A.J. Brown. So you have A.J. Brown and you have Devontae Smith with a great offensive line, a great tight end. The running back room is kind of murky, but I think they have enough weapons and offensive line that Miles Sanders or whoever ends up really being the bell cow there. I think Sanders has the best shot, even though I think Boston Scott ended up at 6 touchdowns last year or something. Mm-hmm. He has the best shot to be the workhorse and really prove that he could be the guy. He's efficient. He just has some injury history, Miles Sanders that is. So Jalen Hurts is under pressure, especially being in Philadelphia. It's a big city, a football city at that too. I think he's going to be fine. He's going to go out. He's going to win games. I think he's going to win this division. I think they can win more than 10 games this year and potentially be a top 3-4 seed in the NFC, but he is under pressure because now's the time for him to take another step as a passer, and he has all the intangibles, the tools. He's out there working with AJ Brown, their friends, before the NFL, so they've been working off the field too. So I'm excited to see what Jalen Hurts can do.
Before you give your number 2, I 100% agree, because there's people like me who still don't believe that Jalen Hurts is a great passer by any means. Barely the word good, truthfully. You saw it. He got exposed against Tampa Bay. They forced him to throw the ball, and that's why they got blown out.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm 100% with you.
Number 2, there's one reason why this guy is number 2. It's because of Joel. Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is on this list, and he has the second most pressure out of all of these quarterbacks. The second most pressure out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Wilson's a Hall of Famer, though. You know what I'm saying? I put him as my number 2.
My dear friend Joel over here has him as the 6th best team in the NFL. Correct me, the 4th best team in the AFC?
Possibly.
So 4th best team in the AFC.
I think 6th in the NFL.
Yes, yeah. They were ranked 6th. So that's
third best team in the
AFC. You know what that means? Mm-hmm. They have to make the conference chip. You're the 3rd best team in the AFC. You got to win multiple playoff games, and you got to be right there to go to the conference championship. If you're the 3rd best team in the AFC, I'm just doing the math here.
12-5.
Only 2 teams make it. So you know that they're that 3rd team. They're right on the cusp of it. The Colts have gone through 3 different quarterbacks in 3 years with Phillip Rivers. Then they went to Carson Wentz. Then they went to Matt Ryan. They think he's the guy. Matt Ryan thinks he could play 4 more years in the NFL. I view them as they're going to win the division because their schedule is a cakewalk. I mean, they face really nobody. We went through their schedule. We had them at 12 wins, and I really didn't disagree with maybe 1 game at that. So I view them at 11.
I thought that was crazy, though. I remember that.
Before the schedule. Yeah, before the schedule came out.
Crazy,
yeah.
though.
Come on.
And then the Titans traded A.J. Brown.
You already knew what teams they were going to face.
I had to see it on paper.
Okay.
Then the Titans go and trade A.J. Brown, so they're going to be taking a step back. I think they win the division, but they're in a bad division. They have the Jaguar. Like, the division is bad. So I view them as they're going to win it. But once they go and face these other elite teams in the NFL, when they have to face, whether it's the Ravens, Bengals in the AFC North, any of the teams in the AFC West, the Bills in the AFC East.
They beat the Bills last year.
That's sick. I've seen the Jets beat the Bengals. It doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to get over the hump and beat these elite teams in the NFL. But Matt Ryan's your guy.
Let him finish.
That's the pressure. But that's the pressure. That's the pressure Matt Ryan has, because he has to go to the AFC Championship game for this to be a successful season, because they're the 6th best team in the NFL. Do you want,
so a
before
team,
I go to number
team
one,
that didn't make the playoffs, a successful season for them is an AFC Championship appearance.
Yeah, according
so
to you.
not even winning a playoff game is a success for that team.
No, they have the 6th
that
best.
hasn't made the playoff. They didn't make the playoffs.
They have the most
year.
Pro Bowlers in the NFL.
Haven't won a playoff
They got
game
Alec Pierce. They got Jelani Woods. They have Jonathan Taylor.
What's your question?
The Colts haven't won a playoff game since when? 5 years?
You have them the 6th best team. That's what he is. He's under pressure. It's Matt. If they win or lose, they go. It's because of Matt Ryan.
They lost in the playoffs with Andrew Luck, right?
They went with Philip Rivers.
Last year, Carson.
They won games with
Luck. Last year, Carson Wentz didn't make the playoffs.
They went and lost to Baltimore.
Philip Rivers made the playoffs, lost to the Bills.
And before that, it was
Jacoby Brissett didn't make the playoffs. Then Andrew Luck lost in round 1. I believe it was to the Chiefs. I'm forgetting who it was, but I know they lost in round 1. So you're telling me for this to be a successful season, an AFC Championship berth is needed.
They have to win. Okay, they have to win 1 to 2. They have to win 2.
Ridiculous.
They have to win 2 playoff games.
Going off your logic.
I'm going off your logic, bro.
Ridiculous.
I'm going off your logic.
It is a little. It's strong.
It's strong, but it's strong to have the Colts as the 6th best team.
So you're telling me if the Colts win the wild card, or let's say to get a bye, whatever.
But you're saying, win the wild card. I understand.
No, wait. Well, to get a bye, they have to be best.
So the bye, they're the 1 seed. They got to.
I don't know. Let's say they win the wild card, right? And in the divisional game, they lose by 1 score. It's an unsuccessful season because they lost by that?
Yeah.
2018, they did get to the divisional round.
I know, that's 1 playoff win, though.
But that was 2018.
That's why
they got Matt Ryan now, though, bro.
That's why I'm saying,
in 2014, they went to the AFC chip. That was a while ago.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Why are you worried? They have Matt Ryan.
It's not that I'm worried. It's just that it's a ridiculous bar.
It's
a ridiculous bar.
It is yes. In the general sense, what you're saying is strong. However, he's solely targeting you.
Let me ask you.
It's real.
If Russell Wilson doesn't make the conference championship but makes it to the divisional round, is that a failure?
It's not a failure. However, I myself am disappointed.
Okay.
Fair? Is that fair?
Because, hey,
I understand what you're saying, but it's not a failure. You're telling me it's a failed season. That's why you have so much pressure.
I've been called the casual by him, by our fans. I've been called the casual when it comes to the Colts.
Man, who's your number 1 quarterback?
I'm a casual, so I just want to see that he's under pressure because I'm a casual. So they have this great team, the most Pro Bowlers in the NFL last year. Now it's time for Matt Ryan to put up or shut up. They got to win multiple playoff games. You want to know
the difference?
Let's hear it.
I do. The only person that is high on the Colts, at least that I've seen speak on it, is me.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I don't know.
Everybody in the media has been high on the Broncos.
True.
The Broncos for years.
We can read some Colts comments. We can read some Colts comments.
That's why I say that. That's why I say that.
Colts I'm a casual.
Correct.
I'm a casual.
A lot of Colts fans comment in our section.
Well, they said you're a casual because you said the Titans would win the division, bro.
I said I was 50-50, and they traded A.J. Brown. I said, okay, that's it.
Okay, but you thought winning 10-plus games or like 11 was crazy.
Then I saw their schedule, bro.
Okay, all right. That's why they called you a casual, because the teams had to come out at that point already.
God forbid I didn't memorize their opponents.
NFC East, they're, of course, AFC South.
It must be nice. Yeah, we looked. The Colts have the 2nd or 3rd easiest schedule, and the Texans have the 4th or 5th hardest schedule. The NFL just has a crush on the Colts for whatever reason.
What was your first quarterback?
My number 1 is Tua. Okay. I think he might be number 1 for all of us. And the issue with Tua is, with all these guys, I wasn't going to say that.
See, if I ever spoke ill of Zack Wilson, you would have a coronary.
I would just brush it off.
Because your disrespect's unwarranted.
Tua's unique. Tua's in a unique situation than the guys on this list, because it's not enough. It's not enough. I don't want to know what he's murmuring. It's not enough to just win. It's not enough to just put up good numbers. The eye test has to get past Tua this year, because he's put up good numbers across the season, right?
He does. The 16-10 last year.
16-10, 66% completion percentage for his career, given 6.8 yards per attempt, air yards, the lowest in the NFL.
Horrible offensive line.
Under 200 passing yards per game.
Mention the offensive line.
QBR 49, bad offensive line.
And the run game that doesn't exist.
The run game was bad.
The head coach, 3 offensive coordinators.
We have an upgraded head coach now for sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
100%.
I'm just making sure we have all the facts.
And injuries, the hip injury.
Thank you.
I know there's been all the excuses in the book for Tua, and some of it a given. It's not his fault.
Thank you.
He's had the injuries, the offensive
You just
line,
use the
everything.
word excuses, just has a negative connotation.
I understand.
We know this.
There's reasons for why Tua has played the play style he has. But now this season, with the upgrade offensive line, the weapons, the head coach, we spoke about all of this at length over these last 3 months. Now it's time for Tua to go out and show us what we have seen and see Alabama Tua, this electric arm, this guy who can make every throw, who can be mobile and get outside the pocket. I'm excited to see it because coming out, I thought Tua was going to be the second best quarterback in the NFL. Herbert has proven that wrong. Joe Burrow has been phenomenal too.
In the draft, he's saying.
Yeah, in the draft. But that's all been fixed. He's 3 years removed from the hip injury. You have the most dynamic wide receiver room in the NFL. But Tua is just different because we see the eye test with Kyler, and for me, the Jalen Hurts passes the eye test too. But now for
Jalen
Tua,
Hurts passes the eye test, but not Tua.
His arm is better. He's more mobile.
His arm is better than Tua's?
Yeah, he has a stronger arm, for sure.
Those
without a doubt.
Those glasses make sense.
No, without a doubt.
The glasses make
without
sense.
A doubt.
They make sense.
You wear contacts.
And they're better than your glasses.
Got his ass. He's got to pass the eye test and win. So Tua's a little different.
You bastard.
Well, you guys went on a whole rant here, giving your guys' list. I'm not going to take up too much time. Number 5 is Ryan Tannehill. I think this is potentially the last year he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's coming off his worst season in Tennessee yet.
Definitely.
And now he has a quarterback who was touted as the most talented quarterback in this past draft in Malik Willis right behind him, waiting for him to have a 2-interception game or a 3-interception game for when Mike Vrabel just pulls the plug. So Ryan Tannehill is on a short leash. Every single game he plays has to be good to great. And if he has 1 to 2 stinkers in a row, he might lose his job. Number 4, Zack Wilson. He just has to show franchise quarterback potential.
Agreed.
He just has to show the flash. He has to show more Tennessee Titans Zack Wilson flashes in year 2, at least 3 or 4 of those games.
Tampa Bay,
but I
Zach
think
also.
Zack Wilson will be fine. Number 3, it's Russell Wilson. Broncos traded 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson. This is supposed to be the move that gets the Broncos to the Super Bowl. The last time you got traded for a quarterback like this...
Traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds.
Okay. The last time you traded for a quarterback like this was Peyton Manning.
We signed him.
We signed him. And he brought you to Super Bowl. He brought you 2 Super Bowl appearances.
I was going to say it took some time.
So Russell Wilson has that type of expectation. You mentioned already every quarterback that has changed teams these past 2 years have went to the new team and they have won. Whether that's going to be Russell Wilson or Matt Ryan this year will be determined.
Oh, but I thought it was unsuccessful.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Super Bowl.
He said it. He
said it, not me.
Folded.
I didn't fold. I threw a little
Super
joke.
Bowl or bust for the Colts, baby. Super Bowl
You
or
guys
bust.
take these jokes too seriously.
Whenever it fits his narrative.
The Matt Ryan thing was ridiculous.
That was hilarious.
Number 2 is, people might give me slack for this, but I think he's at this spot. Number 2 is Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert, he hasn't made the playoffs yet. First season sets all the rookie records. He's the next elite. He is an elite quarterback. He had one of the worst offensive lines, was still great. Second season, 1 game away from making it to the playoffs, just had to beat the Raiders. Loses in that game. Granted, he was spectacular in it, but we can't forget that a couple weeks ago, they lost to the Texans. And that was supposed to be a gimme game. Had they won that game, they're not in that position versus the Raiders week 18. They also got embarrassed by the Patriots around the midway point of the season, and Herbert didn't have a good game.
Baltimore destroyed them.
Baltimore destroyed them. So they had some really bad losses, and in order to avoid those week 18 matchups, Herbert has to come out. He has to win those games. And the Chargers as a whole have to win those games. The Chargers just added the most notable players this offseason to their team. People are expecting them to win the AFC East. They've had expectations for years now. And I think this season is the season where most people right now view Justin Herbert as the next elite quarterback, the guy that's up next in that group of guys. We know he's elite right now, but he has to take that next step. If he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he has to make the playoffs. If he doesn't make the playoffs this year, we're looking at him more as Phillip Rivers than we're looking at him like a Phillip Rivers. Just another Chargers quarterback that has great stats that just doesn't win.
Year 3. That'd be kind of harsh.
Year 3.
Year 3. Like,
This roster's legit.
oh, no, it's phenomenal.
It's a legit roster.
I
then-
honestly didn't even put him on here because I think it's going to be great.
And then number 1 is Tua, right? They surrounded him with enough to win. And the past
I
2
agree.
seasons, I mean, take me back to 2020, week 17. How many picks did he throw against the Bills?
Dude,
3?
You really,
4?
you really are a character.
It was 3 or 4, right?
Like
Bad-
something
bad
out
weather.
of a movie.
Yeah.
Bad
Isn't that the same thing that happened last year versus the Titans?
Unfortunately.
Bad weather and the rain, and Tua he just couldn't throw in the rain.
You know what? Maybe if they practiced that, Mike Gesicki aired out the. I'm not even.
So
gonna get
Tua's
into
never
it.
thrown a ball in the rain
But
before.
that's it's a bad excuse.
We didn't
And it's
practice
in Miami
the
where it
rain.
rains a lot. It's just ugly.
No, but yeah, Tua has the most pressure this year, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, he might not be on a he might not be on the Dolphins roster next year if he doesn't have a good season.
And real quick, I didn't mention Zach just because he is under pressure, but he's under pressure to win like 7-8 games. He's not under pressure to like make the playoffs, go on a playoff run.
I agree.
You know, like he needs to take a step forward. We saw the arm talent there. He just they need to be competitive. They don't necessarily need to win a bunch of games while these other guys do.
Yeah. To reiterate, round table 5 through 1.
All right, so my number 5 quarterback most under pressure, Justin Herbert. Number 4, Zack Wilson. Number 3, K1, Kyla Murray. Number 2, my guy, my franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson. And number 1, Tua Tagovailoa.
I don't know why I was waiting for Tua after you said my franchise, my guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Understandably.
I know.
Justifiable.
Go back and forth.
It's my guy.
My number 5 quarterback under the most pressure is Dak Prescott. My number 4 is Kyler Murray. And my number 3 is Jalen Hurts. My number 2 is the Super Bowl potential champion Indianapolis Colts quarterback Matt Ryan. And number 1 is Tua.
Number 5 for me, when we talk about quarterbacks under the most pressure, Ryan Tannehill could lose his starting job this year and never get one again if he doesn't have a great season this upcoming year. So he's 5. 4, Zack Wilson. Jets have put him in a position to succeed. He has to show signs that he can be a franchise guy. Number 3, Russell Wilson. Broncos have Super Bowl expectations. The last 2 quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Stafford to change teams won it. Russell Wilson has that pressure. Number 2, Justin Herbert has to make the playoffs, without a doubt. Chargers, you can say, arguably have a top 5 roster. When you just talk about names on it, big-time names, Herbert has to get to the playoffs. Number 1, it's Tua. I mean, if he doesn't have a good season this year, he's not even on the Dolphins roster next season. So those are the top 5 quarterbacks under the most pressure.